So let's just come and stand. Oh, let's just angle the screen up a little bit. Actually see what we're up to. Come and stand feet together. And then just step those toes apart. Bring heels in line with toes. And just take a little moment to check in with how we're doing just at this moment. See if we can be present in our bodies, just noticing how we feel, not thinking about anything else. Maybe just noticing your feet first, your ankles, those lower legs, just taking in anything, any information at all, maybe temperature or tightness or a feeling of lightness, whatever it might be. Noticing how your knees are, those upper legs and into and around the hips and pelvis. Noticing how your lower back feels. And working up through the mid and into the upper back and around those shoulders. Noticing how one side compares to the other. Just taking in how your arms are. And your neck and your head. Just have a couple of deep breaths. And then we'll roll those ankles in and out. Notice how that feels. So trying not to analyze any of that information, just to take it in, just to be present and really feel how you are in your body today. And then as those ankles roll in and out, notice how that changes the feeling all the way up through your legs, into your tummy, into your lower back, around your bottom. Just rolling in and out there. And then we will bring those ankles to a nice middle position. So that little lift under the inside of each arch. And then pick up the toes, really spread those toes apart. So they stay spread as you relax the feet back to the mat. A little soften through the knees, and we'll just tilt the pelvis backwards and forwards a few times. And just notice how that is. If it's a bit creaky, bend the knees a bit more, and that will make it easier. Just getting that bit of flexion and then extension through the lower back. Noticing that's the same through both sides of your bottom, both sides of the back, how that feels. And then just coming into neutral, so you've got that bit of lift through the tummy. Just widen across the collarbones. Imagine you've got a little bit of water running down the middle of your back, and just let your shoulder blades gently follow that water. And then imagine your head like a helium balloon. It's floating up towards the ceiling, just lengthening you up through the back of the neck, through the rest of the spine. And have a couple of deep breaths here. Nice big breath in. Fill the body up with air. Breathing out, just empty out all of that air. And then you're very welcome to close your eyes if you'd like to, but totally optional. We're just going to have a little transfer of the weight around our feet. So bringing that weight forward towards the toes, and then back towards the heels, keeping the whole of each foot in contact with the mat. Just that little sway forward and backwards. Just really tuning into where you feel that weight through each foot, bringing it more into the heels and then more into the front of the feet. Just notice as you transfer forward and backwards, whether it does feel the same through each foot or not. And then we'll have a little pause and just take the weight to one side and then to the other. And again, just noticing how that feels, whether you take the weight automatically as much in one direction as you do the other. And I take my weight a little bit more to the left than I do to the right. But if I notice it, then I can just adjust slightly. And then we're just going to take that weight around your circle. So coming over to one side, around and across those toes at the front, and then across the heels at the back. And just keeping the knees soft. Imagine you're stood in like a really tall, round dustbin. And you're just trying to take those hips around the top of the dustbin. Still keeping the whole of each foot in contact with the mat. But just taking those hips on a slightly bigger circle. Keeping the knees soft. Notice what's going on with your feet. Can those toes stay relaxed? Can those feet stay really heavy down into the floor? And then pause and just take that circle the other way. Taking the hips the other way around the top of that dustbin. And again, just check in with the feet. Can they stay nice and relaxed? Really feel that weight transferring around. Toes spread. Hopefully they're not all clinging on. Toes are really like your sort of last ditch part of balance, really, especially your big toe. So try to keep them nice and relaxed. And then we'll just slowly bring that weight back to center. See if you can find equal weight now into each heel, big toe, and little toe. Now we're just going to bring our hands onto those bony hip points at the front of the pelvis and just come in about an inch or so into that sort of little area where we can feel some deeper tummy muscles, hopefully. And we're just going to have a few breaths here. Don't worry about what's going on to start with, just a big breath in, really fill the body up with air, and then breathe out and empty out all that air. Just see if you notice anything underneath those fingers before you start to think about consciously engaging any muscles. Just a big breath in, really filling up the body with air, breathing out, emptying out all that air. So hopefully you might feel as you breathe in that your tummy just comes out a little. As your diaphragm comes down and squeezes all those internal organs down, abdominals relax and pelvic floor relax a little bit to just make space for those. So we want the tummy to relax a little bit there. We don't want to block that breath. And then as you breathe out, diaphragm comes back up, all those internal organs got a bit more space, and you might feel that everything just sinks back in a little bit. And then just gently with that out breath, as you breathe out, think about drawing those little bony hip points at the front of the pelvis in towards each other. So as you breathe out, and then as you breathe in, completely relax, really release, let everything switch off. Those abdominals relax, and then breathing out, just drawing those little bony hip points towards each other. So this should sort of all happen fairly automatically, but quite often our breath gets a bit shallow, we get a little bit stressed or a bit of pain or whatever it is, and quite often that breath just stops working as well as it should, and that whole movement through the whole of the abdominals, pelvic floor, back, everything just gets a little bit shut down. So just nice to focus on that just for a moment. So just have two more nice big breaths. Last one. And then we'll let those arms relax down. And we'll just breathe in and draw the shoulders up to the ears, and then breathe out. And just let them drop back down again. So keeping the head floating up, really lengthening up through the neck, but drawing those shoulders up to find the ears, and just allowing all those muscles to switch off and the shoulders to drop back down. Let's go for two more. Last one. Okay, so knees soft. We are going to bring all the weight into the one leg, and we're just going to bring the other set of toes out in front of us, and we're just going to tap those toes gently up and down on the floor in front of us. Now sometimes we do it with a bit of movement through that supporting leg. Supporting leg is just going to stay with a soft knee today. So just tapping those toes up and down in front of you. A little bit of balance work, keeping nice and neutral. A little bit of work through the middle, just to keep stable and level. Leg floating up and down. And then we're just going to tap out and around. And we'll just come, so that leg comes behind us. It's not going to cross over. Oh, a bit close to my wall. So tapping just to that leg comes behind you. Keep that lift through the tummy as the leg's behind, and then coming back on that semicircle. So just really make sure this knee doesn't lock out. It stays soft, so all those muscles are working to keep the balance. And those glutes as that leg goes behind you a little. And coming back. I'll just do this once more on this side. And pelvis staying relatively level, so you can feel all those muscles around the hip just working quietly to get that little float, and then back again. You feel this leg working to keep the stability. Well done. Let's do the same on the other side. Soft through that knee. Weight into that one leg. And then tapping the toes with the other foot up and down front. And yeah, just check you're still breathing. Shoulders nice and relaxed. A little bit of lift through the tummy. And we'll start to tap out and around on that semicircle. Try to keep pelvis nice and level. Keep the lift through the tummy as that leg goes behind. Feel those bum muscles working a bit. And then coming back around to the front. Well done. You might find that the balance on the one leg is a little bit easier than the other. We're all fairly familiar with that now. And we'll just go one more time. Check that knee still soft. All the way back round to centre, and just have a little shake through those legs. So we'll go feet wide, toes towards 2 and 10 o'clock, and we are just going to breathe in to sink down and breathe out to come back up. So keeping those shoulders above the hips. If you imagine you were stood against a wall, you're just sliding down that wall and sliding back up again. Breathing in as you slide down. Breathing out as you come back up. And just have a little check. Those knees are tracking over the middle toes, so they're gently pushing out to the side. Any knee problems, just keep a little bit smaller. Maybe thinking that as you sink down, those seat bones widen, and then they draw back towards each other as you come back up. So just getting a bit of work into those bum muscles again. Check you've got that equal weight into each heel. Really push through those heels to bring you back up as well. So we're going to go for a couple more. We're going to hold this next one. Bring those arms around in front. We're going to do some arm openings. Breathing out to open to one side. Breathing in to come back. Breathing out to open to the other side. Breathing in to come back. So legs are working quite hard to hold that position. Just keeping the breath going. Keeping the lift through the tummy. That head still floating up. It's as if you're just rotating around that central column of your spine. If you'd like a little bit of an extra rotation, maybe reach forward through that front hand as you open the other arm. And we'll just go for 3 and 3. Keep those legs nice and strong. 2 and 2 and 1 and 1. And come back to centre and gently just come up for a second. We're going to do some side bends now with that same squat position. So we'll breathe in to come down, and then we'll breathe out to take one arm overhead, one arm in front. In to come through the middle, and breathe out to go the other way. Back to centre and back up. Same again. Breathing in to sink down. Breathing out to side bend. Breathing in to come back. Breathing out to side bend the other way. And back up again. So legs nice and strong, but from the waist up, a little bit like a rag doll. Getting that nice bit of lateral flexion through the back. Well done. We'll go for one more. Breathing in to come down. One arm across in front, other arm overhead. Same the other way. And then come back up. Hands on the hips. We're going to sink down again, and we're going to lift one heel, lift the other heel, and then lift both heels. And come back up. Keep working with that. So we're still breathing in to sink down, then breathing out to lift a heel. Same on the other one. And both. And back up again. Keep working with it. So again, nice and strong through the position. Nothing really changes as you lift one heel, lift the other, lift both. See if you can keep those shoulders pretty much above the hips so we're not leaning forwards. Got that tailbone sinking down towards the mat. We're going to go for 2 more sets. Done. Last one. One heel, other heel, both. And come back up and have a good shake through those legs. Well done. Okay, let's come and do some roll downs. So we'll have feet under hips. Have a breath in. Just think about growing a little bit taller. And then knees nice and soft as you breathe out. Peel yourself down towards those feet. Nice big breath in at the bottom. Breathe out, tuck the tailbone, really get that pelvis stacking up first, and then each little backbone, one on top of the other. Big breath in at the top. Breathe out, peel down. Big breath in at the bottom. Again, really stack the pelvis first, then each little backbone. Breathing in at the top. We're going to go 2 more. Breath in at the bottom, breathing out, stacking the pelvis, and then each little backbone. So we'll pause at the bottom of this next one. Let the fingers find the mat, or just rest under shins, and we'll just have a pedal out through the back of the legs. So lifting one heel, squeezing the other heel down into the mat, and then switching over. See if you can let the crown of your head just hang towards the mat, shoulders nice and relaxed. So really finding that stretch down through one and then the other. Into those hamstrings, into the calves maybe a little bit. And let both heels come down, bend the knees, walk the hands forward. I'm going to come down and work into cat. So we'll have wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And we'll just move that top of the head reaching forward, shoulders drawing away from the ears, so those shoulder blades are sliding down towards the back pockets. And then just have a little sway of that weight side to side. So just the same as when we're in standing. Do we take the weight as much to one side as we do the other? And slowly bring that weight back to centre. We're going to work up into cat. And we're just going to think about the movement, really starting at the tailbone and travelling one little backbone at a time all the way to the top of the head. So breathing out, tuck that tailbone first, and then think about that movement rippling up through the back, all the way to the top of the head. And then the same to come back to neutral. Lift the tailbone first, and then let each little backbone follow into neutral. So just getting that wave travelling from the tailbone first, all the way up through the back, and eventually up to the top of the head. And lifting the tailbone, rippling back again. Breathing out to tuck that tailbone and ripple up. Breathing in to lift the tailbone and ripple back to neutral. Now you might want to just keep going with that. If you want to make it a little bit more dynamic, we're going to sort of try and see if we can get like a wave traveling through the back so that you're starting to move into the next movement before you finish the first one. So rounding up, but then lengthening back before you've finished the first movement. And you'll probably need to let your weight move forwards and backwards a little bit. It's one of those that if you think about it too hard, it all just goes horribly wrong. So I'm going to not give you too many instructions and just let you find your own way. And if it's not for you, don't worry, just keep working with the sort of first option. But really allowing those shoulders to relax, neck relax. Imagine that spine moving like a giant slinky. Keeping the breath going. Well done, looking good. Let's just go for a couple more. And then coming back to neutral. So just settle yourself back so you've got those shoulder blades drawing down towards your back pockets. And then we'll just do a few scapular isolations. So breathing out to sink the chest down, breathing in to float back up again. Thinking about your neck staying in line with the rest of the spine. So your chest is sinking as much, if not more, as than your head. Keeping the lift through the tummy all of the time. You can just feel those shoulder blades come towards each other as you sink down. And then they get pushed apart as you float up. Just go for a couple more. Last one. Coming back up into that nice alignment. So if your wrists are struggling, do have a pause, have a little roll round with those wrists whenever you need. We're going to do a little bit more work in 4-point kneeling. So if anyone's wrists have completely had it, you could come down onto forearms, but it's quite strong through shoulders. So to you, fists might be a better idea. So tuck the toes under. Again, those shoulder blades drawing towards the back pockets. Almost feel like you're wrapping the back of your armpits closed. And then those ribs just float up away from the mat a little bit. I'm just going to breathe out, push into the toes and magically float those knees just up from the mat. Hold for a breath in and breathe out to come back down again. So really keeping that weight as much into your toes, if not more, than your hands. You want keep that lovely neutral alignment, a little bit of lift through the tummy, just breathing out to float up, breathing in to hold, and breathing out to come back down again. For such a little movement, it's quite hard work. Feeling that all the way through the core, all the way through your arms, your legs. Breathing out to float up, breathing in to hold. So you might want to stick with that same position. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you're going to keep your hips back over your knees still, but just step your hands forward, about handprint. Now your body's not going to move forwards at all. You're still just breathing out to float those knees up and hold. Breathing out to come back down again. So there's no transfer of the weight forwards. We're keeping weight back into those toes, really keeping the shoulders drawing away from the ears. Just a breath out to float up, breath in to hold, and a breath out to come back down again. And it's just a really small float of those knees. They only just leave the mat. Holding for the breath in, breathing out to come back down. So you can go for 3 more. 3, hold, and down. 2, hold, and down. Last one, hold, and down. And then drop the tailbone back to the heels, come down into shell stretch, and just breathe into the back of the body for a little bit there. Roll those wrists around again if you need to. So we're going to come all the way down onto our fronts next, and we're going to do some work in swimming. So Just bring yourself all the way down onto your tummy. If you'd like a little head cushion for your forehead, do grab one. And we're going to have arms either just out, so you've got your elbows in line with your shoulders, elbows bent, or have those arms reaching overhead, whichever you prefer, whichever is comfier. A little bit harder work with those arms overhead, just trickier to get the lower traps working, but entirely up to you. So, have a couple of deep breaths, just let your body sink heavy down into that mat. Check you're comfy there, and then think about your tailbone reaching for your heels, so it just gets that length through the lower back. If you know that your lower back tends to struggle in this position, you can always put a cushion under the front of those hips just to help keep the length. So, tailbone reaching for the heels, shoulder blades sliding down towards the back pockets. And then a little bit with arms only first. So, chest stays heavy. Breathing out, float one arm just up away from the mat. Breathing in to come back down. Same on the other side. So there's no lift through the chest, you're staying super heavy down into the mat through the front of the body. Just that feeling of widening out across the shoulder, a little float of that arm just away from the mat. And as you release and breathe in, really make sure, nice deep breath into the back of the body. You can feel those ribs expanding as you breathe in, and then as you breathe out, you float that arm just away from the mat. Breathing in to release completely. So you want to be able to feel those muscles around the base of your shoulder blade working, not so much into the top of the shoulders and into the neck. You can feel those muscles around at the base of your neck, and maybe bring your elbows a little bit lower so that you can keep that feeling of the shoulder blade sliding towards the back pockets. Let's go one more on each arm. And then we'll let those arms have a little pause for a moment. Check the tailbone still reaching for the heels. Legs super long, and we're going to breathe out, float one straight leg just a little way up from the mat, and breathe in to release back down. Same on the other side. So I want you to purposefully make it really small today. I think it's absolutely all about reaching that leg as long as you can and feeling that float come from the back of the thigh. So toes may only just leave the mat. Keeping that tailbone reaching for the heels. If you feel that into your lower back at all, you probably do want that cushion underneath the front of your hips, just to keep the length through the lower back there. So breathing out to reach that leg really long, little float coming from the back of the thigh, and breathing in to release back down. So you should feel those bum muscles working, possibly the hammies a little bit as well. Upper body staying relaxed. Now you might want to stick with that. If you know your back's completely happy, we could work a little bit harder. Keep the tailbone tucked, float the one leg up, hold it there. Float the second leg up, really keep the tailbone tucking. Now pulse those feet in and out towards each other, keeping the legs super straight, reaching super long. And again, that shouldn't get into your lower back. It should all be those bum muscles and maybe your hamstrings a little bit too. Upper body staying relaxed, pulsing those feet in and out towards each other nice and quickly. We'll go for 3, 2, 1, and have a little breather. Just let those legs completely relax. Maybe sort of roll those ankles in and out a moment. And then we're going to do the same again. So, tailbone reaching for the heels.
Reach long through the one leg and float just away from the mat. Reach long through the second leg and float just away from the mat. And then pulsing those feet in and out towards each other. Try and keep nice and heavy through the chest, shoulders relaxed. Pulsing those feet in and out really quickly. Those bum muscles will start to burn pretty quick. Keep breathing. We're down, we're going to go for 3, 2, 1, and relax all the way back down. Maybe roll those ankles a little bit, or roll the pelvis side to side a little bit, just release off through everywhere. We're going to do one last set like that. So, last set, tailbone reaching for the heels. Reach that leg long and float one leg up, then the second one, hold, and then pulsing those feet in and out towards each other. Reaching those legs super long, keeping that float, holding them up from the back of the thigh. Keep breathing. Really keep the tailbone tucked, shoulders relaxed. We're nearly there. Keep those feet pulsing in and out towards each other nice and quickly. We're going to go for 3, 2, 1, and release all the way down. Have a little breather for a moment. Again, another little roll of that pelvis side to side maybe. And then we're just going to finish with opposite arm and leg. So, chest heavy into the floor, shoulders drawing away from the ears, tailbone reaching for the heels, and then breathing out to float one arm and the opposite leg just away from the mat a little. Breathing in to relax back down. And then the same on the other pair. So just working what we call the posterior oblique sling. Basically, you've got lovely myofascial connection from one shoulder to the opposite sort of glutes, if you like, or hip. Maybe notice if that one diagonal pair feels any different to the other. And we'll just go for 3, and 3, and 2, and 2, and 1, and 1. And then relax down. Have a nice deep breath there. And then when you're ready, hands underneath your shoulders, just push yourself back up onto those knees and drop the tailbone back to the heels. Knees a bit wider if you want more of a stretch into the hips. And just slide those hands forward and breathe into the back of the body there. And then when you're ready, we'll walk those hands across to one side. So you can keep the shoulders nice and parallel to the floor, head centered in between the arms. And just find that stretch into the one side of the body and breathe into it. And then when you're ready, walking those hands back across to the other side. Again, find and stretch into the long side of the body. See if you can keep those shoulders parallel to the floor, head centered in between the arms. And just breathe into that long side. And when you're ready, bring those hands back to center, walk them back up towards you, and we will come over onto our backs. Grab your head cushion so you're comfy, and just bring yourself down onto the floor. Find that bit of length through the back of the neck,
Arms reaching nice and long. And we'll just have feet together, legs together to start with, as long as that's comfy. And just take that bit of time to notice where you feel the contact through the back of your body with the mat. Does it feel equal across both sides of the back of the pelvis? Both sides of the back of the rib cage? Where do you feel that contact across the back of your shoulders and down the back of your arms? Just have a few nice deep breaths. Breathing in, fill the body up with air. And as you breathe out, just let the body sink really heavy down into the ground. So really empty out all of that air as you breathe out. Big breath in, filling the body up with air. And just feel that with each breath out, you just sink a little heavier. It's like the back of the body melts into the floor. And then when you're ready, just take your arms a little bit wider. Legs still glued together. We're just going to very gently roll those knees a little bit to one side and then a little bit to the other side. And just think about that laser beam from your belly button. It starts in a position where it's pointing up towards the ceiling, and then you're just turning that laser beam from your belly button over to one side and then gently over to the other side. And the legs just follow that movement of the laser beam. Arms stay nice and relaxed, shoulders heavy. And just checking that that one foot comes away from the mat as the knees come over. And then the same on the other side. Just go a little bit further each time. Letting the head roll to look over the other shoulder if you would like to. Just go a couple more to each side. And then coming back to center. Just bring those feet back to hip width apart. Bring your heels a little bit closer into your bottom. Pop your head cushion to one side. We're going to work up into a bridge. We're going to start super small, so just sinking those ribs down, breathing out, rolling the pelvis towards you and peeling just one or two backbones away from the mat, holding for the breath in and then breathing out to release back. So really staying heavy into the mat, peeling just maybe 3 or 4 backbones up this time, holding for the breath in, breathing out to peel back down again. So just keep working with your breath, coming just a little bit further each time. Really thinking that you're keeping those ribs connected and sinking down all the way through that movement, squeezing up through those glutes. It might help if you struggle with your ribs just to put a finger on each rib at the front, there below down on the front of that rib cage. And just keep those fingers gently pressing into the rib cage as you peel up. Check it doesn't lift. Really lifting through those glutes. Hold, and then breathe out to peel back down. So we're going to add a little hip twist at the top if you would like to. Breathing out to peel up and hold. Keep the pelvis really level. Open one knee to the side and then draw it back. Same on the other side. We'll do 3 on each side, keeping that tailbone tucked, keeping the hips high. Breathing out to open, breathing into return, and then peeling back down. I'm sure you all know what you're up to, but just in case I just change so you can see what my legs are doing. So we're peeling up, holding, breathing out to open one knee, breathing into return. Same on the other side. And then peeling back down. And we'll just do 2 more like that.
Breathing out to open, breathing into return, just checking you're keeping that height through those bum muscles, keeping the wrists connected. Should feel those bum muscles working pretty hard. We're just going to go for one last one. Breathing out to open, breathing into return. 2 and 2 and 1 and 1. And then peeling back down, draw the one knee into the chest, draw the other knee into the chest, and have a good roll round on the lower back there. When you're ready, just grab that head cushion back again. Excuse me. Okay, so one leg can come down, other leg can come down. Reset yourself, or set yourself into a nice neutral position. So then roll that pelvis backwards and forwards and settle into neutral. Ribs nice and heavy. You know, a little bit of abdo prep. So interlace those hands behind the back of the head, thumbs down the back of the neck, shoulders drawing away from the ears. And then we're just going to breathe out, slide those ribs to the hips to bring us up into abdo prep, and breathe out to release back down again. And we're just going to keep our neutral position to start with. Breathing out to slide those ribs to the hips, breathing to release back again. So as you come up into abdo prep, if you had your little soft peach between your chin and your chest, you're not going to squash that. And you just keep the neck in the same position as you release back again. So the neck's not changing, it's those ribs getting that bit of flexion through the upper back and then releasing back again. Really think about those ribs at the front of the body on each side, sliding equally down front of the body and then releasing equally back again. So you might want to keep going with that. If you'd like to try something a little bit more challenging, we're going to breathe out, curl as far as we can into our abdo prep, which will mean your back does flatten into the mat. Hold there. Reach your hands behind your legs and use your arms to curl a little bit further. See if you can hold that position as your hands come back behind your head and then release back to the mat. It's a bit of a killer, so if you want to stick with normal abdo prep, that's absolutely fine. We're only going to do 5 of these. So breathe out, peel up as far as you can. Reach those hands behind your legs and use them to bring yourself a little bit further. Hold that position as you bring your hands back behind your head and then release back to the mat. We've got 3 to go. Breathe out to come up. Reach those arms, they pull you a little bit further. Keep the shoulders wide, head reaching away. Hold that as those hands come back behind the head and then release back down again. 2 to go. Reach those arms, bring yourself a little further. Hold, hands behind the head and release back. Last one. Reach those hands, bring yourself a bit further. Hold, really hold that position as the hands come back. And release back down. Oh my goodness. Okay, little roll of that pelvis backwards and forwards and just settle back into neutral. We're going to go into nice easy single leg stretch. So ribs sinking down, breathing out to slide one leg away, breathing in to come back, and then the same on the other leg. And now really making sure lower back stays in neutral, pelvis nice and level. Breathing out to reach away, breathing in to come back. And we'll add in the opposite arm. So as the one leg reaches away, opposite arm reaches back overhead. Feel that nice lengthening through the front of the body. Those ribs sinking down as you breathe out and reach away. Breathing in to come back. Okay, so we're going to do one more on each side. Have a little pause. I'm going to go to level 1 scissors. So breathing out to float one leg up, breathing in to come back down. Same on the other side. Again, thinking about that neutral position. Tailbone stays a little heavy as that leg floats up. So that you keep that little pocket there under the middle of the lower back as the leg comes up. And gently back down. So you might want to stick with just your level 1 scissors. If you want to add a little extra in, we're going to add some oblique prep in. So interlace the hands behind the back of the head
As that leg comes up, you're bringing the opposite shoulder over and across towards it. And keeping elbows relatively wide. Just supporting your head with your hands. Keeping that idea of a soft peach between your chin and your chest. And you still want equal weight into both sides of the back of the pelvis. See if you can lengthen your out breath and just hold that oblique prep position for a moment longer. So you hold for a moment and then breathe in and release back. And release back. We're going to go for 3 more to each side. Two to go on each one. Last one each way. And release back. Have a little breather. We're going to come into double tabletop. So as long as you're happy to. If you prefer not to, you could just work in and out of that. One leg up, sink the ribs. Second leg up, one leg down. Second leg down. Whatever you feel like doing. Otherwise, we're going to hold it. So first leg up, sink those ribs. Second leg up. Interlace the hands behind the back of the head in readiness if you would like to add abdo prep in a minute. Otherwise, arms by the side. We're going to single leg stretch. So just breathing out to reach one leg away, breathing in to fold back. If you can maintain neutral, happy days. If you can't, don't worry, but keep that back flattening into the mat. So you keep the ribs really sinking down, keeping the same position as that leg reaches out and away, and then returns. Really open up through the front of that hip, reach that leg long. As you breathe out, those tummy muscles sink down towards the floor. And then if you want to, we're going to add the straight abdo prep. As the leg reaches away, ribs slide to the hips. As the leg returns, coming back out that abdo prep. Really use the breath. Breathing out as you reach away and come into the abdo prep. Breathing in to come back. So our last little bit in this position. If you had it and need to curl into a ball, do. Otherwise, keep going. We're going to go for 3. And 3. And 2. And 2. And 1. And 1. Well done. And draw those knees into the chest and have a good roll round on that lower back. Well done, guys. Good work. Okay. Now we are going to come up and do a little bit of work in kneeling, I'm afraid, Jane. So if you want to pad your knees up with a cushion, do. If you'd rather stay on the mat and just have a stretch and finish, that's absolutely cool, whatever suits you. Same goes for anyone else if they're not sure about their knees. Otherwise, we're going to roll ourselves over and just come on up to a kneeling position. So find that bit of lift through the tummy, really tuck the tailbone. We're going to do a thigh stretch first, and then some side bend work. So you're looking for a straight line, shoulder, hip, knee. So nice and vertical, arms out in front, sink those shoulders down. Keep the tailbone really tucking, and we're just going to breathe out to come back, hold for a breath in, and breathe out to come forwards again. So you can keep it super small. It's more important that you really get that feeling of the tailbone tucking and the front of the pelvis lifting. And you probably already get that bit of stretch down through the front of the thighs. And then keep that feeling as you breathe out, hinge backwards from the knees, hold for the breath in, and breathe out to come back up again. Shoulders sinking down. Breathing out to come back. Breathing in to hold. Breathing out to come back up. We're just going to go for 2 more. Keep that tailbone tucked. Hold. Breathing out to come back up. Last one. Hold. Breathing out to come back up. Well done. Cool. So we're going to take one leg out to the side, as long as that's comfy. So we'll start, I think, with hands just up behind the head there, nice and Relax through those shoulders. And we're just going to have a little side bend to one side and then a little side bend to the other. So imagining you've got a pane of glass in front of you and a pane of glass behind you, and you're just side bending in between those two panes. And obviously the further you go, the harder work that's going to be. Don't feel like you've got to go miles. If it feels good, you can come a bit further. And obviously we're just stretching and then working through the sides of the body. So we'll turn it into a bit more of a stretch rather than strength work. If you've got a block or a couple of books handy, you might want them so that when you come over, you can put your hand onto that block. Just makes it a little bit comfier if you happen to have something about. Otherwise, reaching over, and then that top arm comes back, slides down the leg and come the other way. So just breathing out into that nice big stretch. Breathing in to come through center and breathing out to come the other way. So just go a couple more of these. And then coming up for the last time, side bend towards that leg and then come back to center. So we'll do the same on the other side. Oops, Daisy, push that way. So again, imagine you've got your pane of glass in front, pane of glass behind, hands just touching back of the head there, and then just a little side bend one way, little side bend the other way. So just feel your way with it a little bit. You don't have to go miles at all. Noticing how it feels to side bend in one direction and then in the other. Happy to come a long way, then you're really going to lengthen through that top side and work it a bit harder. It doesn't matter. Getting all of those waist muscles working, sides of the body. Well done, Jane, that's a good option. If you wanted to take your feet a little bit wider, you get more of a similar feel. That's it, and you can slide one hand down on one leg, yeah, fab, well done. Okay, so we'll turn it into a bit more of a stretch, so letting that hand come either to the floor or to your block, reaching over, coming back through center, reaching over the other way. All the way through, just those shoulders sinking down, head floating up to the ceiling and then lengthening out and away as you come across. Just go a couple more. Well done. Last one towards that straight leg. And come back to center. Just let that other leg come in. Maybe just drop into a little shell stretch and just breathe into the back of the body there. Nice deep breath. And then when you're ready, just walk those hands back up towards you. Come onto hands and knees. We're just going to tuck those toes under and roll back over the feet. So you can keep the hands on the mat. Take the hips up towards the ceiling. We're just going to stretch out through the back of the legs there. So again, lifting one heel, squeezing the other heel down into the mat. So we're just pedaling out through the back of the legs again. Getting a nice stretch down through that. Really letting the crown of the head hang towards the floor. Shoulders gently drawing away from the ears. That's it. And then maybe just let both heels come down. Keep the knees as bent as you need to.
And just sort of sway the hips to one side and then to the other. So you just feel a little bit more stretch into one leg and then the other again. If you're happy to sort of interlace those arms and just hang forwards, if that feels nice, then go for it. If you need the support from your hands, then keep that there. And just come back to center. Maybe just have a little nod of your head forward and back. Just really try and release off through the back of the neck there. Let those shoulders relax. And then when you're ready, let that head be still. Bend the knees a bit more. Drop the tailbone and gently unroll. Back up to stand. And we will just finish. Nice deep breath in and reach up. 2 more. Last one. There we go. Great job, team. Well done. If you feel all right there, let me just sort the computer out.